Now, almost at the end of 2023, we have collected for you some of the most striking cases of anti-Christian hate crimes that took place during this year, and we hope that this information will provide you with an overview of what is happening, also with an understanding how diverse and multiple the threats to safety and religious freedoms are across the region. Just to give you an idea, what happened this past year? On January 2nd, a tragic attack took place inside a Ukrainian Orthodox church in Ukraine, where a priest was attacked with a knife and almost stabbed to death. He was attacked by a man who entered the church, first started turning things over when the priest approached him, was then physically attacked and had to be taken to a hospital. On January 14, the Euston shooting took place in North London, where 6 people were injured. It was a shooting where a man passing by with a car just kind of shot at all the people leaving the church service that had been there for a ceremony of mourning. And few of them got severely injured and also had to be taken to the hospital. Between January 17 and 25, there was a total of 4 arson attacks on churches in Paris. It was quite severe attacks, 2 of them even involving Molotov cocktails that were thrown in the churches in order to set fire on them. On January 25, a jihadist terrorist attack took place against 2 churches in Algeciras in Spain that left 1 altar server dead and several severely injured. The perpetrator who entered the church had been shouting "Death to all Christians." On February 10, the historic church of Wissen in Germany was desecrated and partly destroyed in a severe arson attack on the church. On June 7, a driver rammed his car through a Corpus Christi procession in Warsaw in Poland, where he injured severely some of the processioners and also endangered the kneeling children, as it was a procession with a lot of people kneeling and praying in the street. On July 16, 2 youths stood trial in Leoben in Austria after planning a terrorist attack on their class. According to their own record and testimonial, they wanted to shoot all the Christians in their class. On August 4, the Baroque Evangelical Church of Groß-Rösdorf, a small town in Saxony, Germany, was burnt to the ground due to an arson attack. On November 10, a man entered the church in Belmonte in Italy with a gas cylinder and a lighter and threatened to explode the church during a mass was going on. He also insulted the priest and wanted to extort money from him. On November 23, a man attacked a group of children outside a Catholic private school in Dublin, Ireland, with a knife. The stabbing led to several severe injuries. The Algerian man also already had a criminal record. All these cases, of course, are very concerning, and we just, with this summary of what has been going on during the year of 23, want to provide you with more insight and also ask you to just share and raise awareness about attacks on places of worship of Christians happening throughout Europe, so we can together enhance security measures, call upon politicians to make sure that these attacks are being reduced and that appropriate measures can be found to ensure religious freedom and safety for all throughout our countries. Thank you for your contributions. In the past year, we have seen a few concerning trends restricting the religious freedom of Christians across Europe. Some of them have to do with Christians voicing their opinions in public and getting in trouble for that. Others have to do with Christians praying in some restricted areas, publicly or even privately. With this little overview of what happened in 2023, we want to give you some insight, and we've prepared for you some of the most striking cases that have happened in different countries in Europe in this last year. And I will just quickly run you through these and try to give you an idea of the background and of what is happening and how religious freedom of Christians in Europe has been challenged on the legal and in the public sphere. In January, a man called Adam Smith Connor was fined in the UK for praying silently outside an abortion clinic. According to the Public Space Protection Order Bill, anything that is seen as a disapproval of abortion is now being fined outside these so-called safe zones or restriction zones around abortion clinics. And his silent prayer, which the police recognized that prayer is just because his head was bound, led to being judged as such a disapproval. When asked, he admitted that he had been praying for his deceased son, and that was enough for the officials to fine him for allegedly breaking this public order bill. In February, there was a big case in Malta where Matthew Gregg, a former LGBTI activist and convert to Christianity, had to stand trial after sharing his testimony on a public broadcasting TV station. He had been invited by the hosts to share his testimony, and the host had also discussed with him how his own sexual identity had changed through his conversion to the Christian faith, and how he had, in his own descriptions, found more security in his identity. That was enough to accuse him of allegedly breaking the conversion ban, a conversion therapy ban that had been already made illegal in the country for some years. He now is still standing trial, threatened with up to 5 months in prison if found guilty of promoting conversion therapy through just sharing his Christian testimony on television. In April, the first prison sentence for a Christian opposing the war in Russia on religious ground took place. A 63-year-old Russian Orthodox Christian was put in jail for expressing his repentance and his Christian views in an online posting. In a social media post, he wrote, "We, Russia, have become godless. Forgive us, Lord." This was enough to accuse him for spreading political hatred against the armed forces and put him into prison. Also in April, there was a very concerning case in Minsk, Belarus, where 7 evangelical Christians got fined for talking about Easter in the street. They had been standing in a street corner with a visible cross and just talking to those bypassers who were interested about the meaning of Easter. They were accused of conducting missionary activities without permission, although they had just really been talking to those who would approach them and want to speak with them about Easter. In May, a teacher in the UK got dismissed for sharing his convictions about marriage, family, the beginning and the end of life in an internal training session with his colleagues. There he was encouraged to share his Christian views, and he was told that it was a safe space and he was encouraged to speak. When Ben Dibowski then shared that he believed that marriage is a union between a man and a woman, and that he also believed that life started at conception, he was later dismissed from his teaching position in his school in Wales for alleged hate speech. These are just a few examples of cases where the religious freedom of Christians was restricted in the past year in 2023. But they all show us a certain trend that we see across Europe of introduction of certain legislation that does not take religious freedom fully into account, or also of social pressure or of wrong understanding of hate speech or what free speech is and how religious views in a peaceful way that just express Christian convictions should really remain protected in the public sphere. All these things are really important and will remain important in the future, so we are really happy you are in this with us, and we will together continue to uphold the religious freedom in Europe. Thank you so much.